البدري رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن مما أدرك الناس من كلام النبوة الأولى إذا لم تستحي فاصنع ما شئت. It is narrated on the authority of Abu Mas'ud, Uqbat ibn Amr, the member of the Ansar, the participant in the Battle of Badr, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam once said, it is one of the earliest of the prophetic teachings that have reached the people is this: if you have no haya, then do whatever it is you wish. So before we go into the lessons that we can learn from this hadith, I want to first make a point of translating this word haya correctly. We often translate it as embarrassment or shyness, which is not exactly wrong, but it is also not entirely accurate. Haya is a much more encompassing term that sort of goes under this umbrella of ethical sensitivity. So when I say haya here, and in the lessons of the hadith, what I'm referring to is the concept of ethical sensitivity as a whole. Okay, so Rasulullah says, if you do not have haya, do whatever you wish. What does that mean? What this means, and what we can learn from this, is that haya is something that we can use as a sort of metric to measure ourselves with, right? It is a sort of safety mechanism to keep you away from sinning. How does that work? A person with a low level of haya or a low sense of haya, they will not think twice about engaging in the morally dubious, right? Or that sort of gray area between the halal and haram. They won't think twice about it. They won't think about it. They'll do it without a second thought. Or God forbid, they'll actually do the haram and they won't think about it. They won't think twice. Whereas a person with a high level of haya, instead of doing it, they'll hesitate and they'll think, is this really what I want to be doing? Do I want people to see me doing this? Do I want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to see me doing this, right? And they'll stay away from it. So, what exactly is this relationship between haya, between that feeling and sensitivity, and of course the actual sin itself? Rasulullah says in another hadith, he says, "Al-ithmu ma haka fi an-nafsi wa karihta an yattali'a alayhi an-nas." Al-ithm, a sin, is what lodges itself in your chest or in yourself or in your heart. It sticks itself in there, and you would hate karihta an yattali'a alayhi an-nas, for other people to see you doing it, right? So the lower that ethical sensitivity and that standard is in your own heart, the less you'll feel it lodging in yourself, and the less you will have anything against doing this haram action, or looking at this haram thing, or speaking about this person in a bad way, or listening to this thing that you shouldn't be listening to. So that feeling of, next time you get that feeling when you're about to do something, you say, oh, do I really want this person to hear? Would I like it if this person heard me talking about this? Or would I like it if people knew that I did something like this, or that I said something like this? Not, of course, to take away from the fact that, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that we care about. It's no one else. But that is something that you could sort of put in your mind when you remember the words of Rasulullah when he says, وَكَرِهْتَ أَن يَطَّلِعَ عَلَيْهِ النَّاسِ. That said, if people seeing you is a reason for you to stay away from a bad action, that's fine. It's keeping you away from sinning, and that's all right. That's one thing. But why is it that we often find that people are the reason for us to do something or to not do something, especially with regards to things that we'd be ashamed of people seeing? Because ultimately, isn't the one that we should be ashamed from, and the one that we should have hayat with, and the one whose relationship with we should always be careful of, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is it not? Obviously it is. That's why it can be said that hayat is a stepping stone of sorts to achieving ihsan. In the famous hadith Jibreel, how does Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam describe ihsan? He says, "Al-ihsanu an ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tarah, fa in lam takun tarahu fa innahu yarak." Ihsan is to worship Allah as if you can see Him, because even if you can't, He can see you, and of course He is seeing you. So that if you want to achieve that level of ihsan, where you act as if, and you keep in your conduct as if, I know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is seeing me, then how do you do that? How do you bring your hayat up to that standard that you can achieve this level of ihsan? Constantly engage in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Constantly remember the things He's given you. Constantly remember the fact that He's always watching you. And do what Rasulullah said. He said, "La yazalu lisanaka ratban min dhikrillah." Keep your tongue moist with the remembrance and the dhikr of Allah. If you do that, and if you keep yourself, you make that conscious effort to always remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every situation that you can. Always remember your position of gratitude to Him, and always remember His names and His attributes. As-Sami', Al-Basir, Al-Alim, Al-Raqib, the fact that He's always watching you. Then the next time you get the opportunity or the urge, you'll stop, you'll hesitate out of habit, because you've been keeping His name on your tongue. So now you'll stop, you'll hesitate, you'll think, is this something, not that I want other people to not catch me doing, is this something that I really want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to see me doing? Because He knows you're thinking about doing that. But you'll think, you know what? I am shy to do this in front of my Lord. I am shy to do this in front of my Maker. And you'll stay away from it. And you'll realize that as you slowly do this, you'll gradually move away from caring about other people catching you to caring about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala seeing you. And that consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at all times is the essence of what we call taqwa. I hope that was of benefit. يروي الإمام البخاري في صحيحه عن أبي مسعود عقبة بن عمرو الأنصاري البدري رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن مما أدرك الناس من كلام النبوة الأولى إذا لم تستحي فاصنع ما شئت رواه البخاري سبحانك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.
Jazakallah khairan. Just a quick reminder that after the Sunnah prayer, there is a halaqah being held inside of this prayer hall. We have plenty of space outside in the lobby and outside. It's a beautiful night. If you want to carry the discussion outside, you're more than welcome to. But there is a halaqah of Quran, and we need some attention here. Jazakallah khairan.